One of my favorite underrated starships in Star Wars is the Bad Batch's shuttle, the Marauder. And in 2021, LEGO made a playscale version of it when the first season of the show was airing. Coming in at 969 pieces, this set cost just under $100 on release, and in retirement has jumped in price slightly. I expect it to go much higher in a few years, but more on that later.
What kind of ship is this anyway? Looks like a modified Omicron-class attack shuttle.
Designed by Cygnus Spaceworks, the Marauder had an aesthetically pleasing profile with its folding wings. This framework signature was prevalent in many of their ships like the Lambda, Theta, and Sentinel-class shuttles. And through the use of Technic, LEGO did a fantastic job of bringing that motion to life. Not lacking for power, the Marauder was equipped with 2 heavy laser cannons on the wing joints, 5 wingtip-mounted light laser cannons, and the armament of choice that we see utilized, 1 rear double laser cannon. The LEGO version of the ship does a great job with the heavy cannons, but missed out completely on the light laser cannons, and while I do wish they had found a way to make the rear turret move 360 degrees, I think they did a fine job overall, especially when you consider it's a playscale and made for kids. And speaking of playscale, a function missing in this set is the landing gear. We see the Marauder land and take off so many times in the series, including the very first time we see it back in season 7 of the Clone Wars. Something like this should have been a no-brainer, considering LEGO has made landing gears in many ships in the past. Yet somehow it was missed here. In my opinion, this omission felt like a big mistake, and instead of including these speeders, those parts should have been utilized for the ship in some capacity, as there are key details like this that are missing. Now, admittedly, I am a UCS fan, and I prefer those models above all else. And I recognize that not all ships will get that treatment, but this is not the first time this has happened. Rebels fans are still waiting for a UCS Ghost, although that ship is considerably bigger. Rogue One fans only got playscale ships too, but with the Marauder, you simply can't capture all the detail of the interior in a playscale version. And from LEGO's POV, I'm curious how they forecasted sales on this model, because I assume it didn't come close to those projections, as the ship wasn't on the shelves for very long and lasted just over a year before retirement. Compare that to something in its relative price range, the ATT Walker, which has been around for nearly 2 years with no sign of exit. This set is one of the rare times LEGO has included every member of a squad in a set, and I'll even give them a pass on because at the time of creation, they wouldn't have known she would become a part of the squad based on the information given to them. And by the time the show came out, I can only assume it was too late to change course. Now, we did eventually get the chance to obtain in a few other sets, and she's pretty easy to obtain on sites like Bricklink 2, but collectors probably hope we don't get a remake of this set in some fashion because the minifigures are quite rare. I do think LEGO did a pretty good job overall with the figs, but I understand fans being miffed at the lack of backpacks for the squad. This is something that is prevalent throughout the series and is information LEGO should have known about since it's a consistent detail in their design. Due to the apparent lack of sales and the fact that the majority of the figures only ever came in this one set, in my opinion, you'll be hard pressed to find the Marauder shuttle at a decent price point once the series ends for good later this year. And if you're behind on watching, a quick spoiler warning. With this being the final season, I expect the rest of the squad to meet the same fate as their brother Tech did in season 2, which means the minifigure pricing on the resale market should go up substantially further, as LEGO tends to not remake niche characters once they are written off. We get a ton of black and gray ships for Star Wars, so one thing I love about this set is the color, as the sand blue was a nice change of pace. I think it does a great job of bringing a new look while also depicting the absolute beating this ship takes over the years and gives it a bit of a weathered look. I do wish the set was less fragile, as some connections are relatively weak and require resetting. Look, this set is far from perfect, and at most I'd give it a 7.3 out of 10, and that's largely due to the minifigure cast and LEGO trying something new. Given all this, it's hard to recommend it to anyone unless you identify as a collector or you're an avid Bad Batch fan, and I can see why the set didn't do very well when it was first released. However, I'd still take something like this at the price point over the apparently popular, but in my opinion, and maybe this is a hot take, wildly overrated mid-scale ships which have a very lopsided valuation that make no sense to me given the small pieces involved and lack of minifigures. As for the Marauder, given my love for the ship, one day I'd like to build 2Bricks' mock version of the Marauder, which is absolutely packed in detail, but that's for another time. And as far as the show goes, while we are very early in the season, I'm loving it so far. I even made this bingo card with some of my predictions for the season, and fans are going to want to strap in because they are telling a fantastic story as they take us on this ride. If you have the set, let me know what you think of it in the comments, or if you're watching the final season, feel free to drop predictions down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.